So audiophiles, where do you stand? Where do you stand on the accuracy at one side, euphonic spectrum? So let's say accuracy is hardcore by the numbers, super precise, high resolution, super detailed, super clear, accurate over there, and then euphonic, sweet, warm, luscious, juicy sound at the other end. You can fill in the blanks as you'd like, what that actually means, but let's start there. You know, one of my friends pointed out that, let's say, here's a mental exercise. If you heard 100 speakers, or 50 speakers, or 25 speakers, you heard a bunch of speakers, how would you know, without measuring them, or even measuring them, how would you know which one is the most accurate? Now, if you pose the question a different way, you said, which one is the most enjoyable? You know, I think you'd get pretty far pretty fast, depending on how much time you had, right? You would eliminate a lot of them right away. And then, let's make it 100. Let's say it's 25. If you had 25 speakers, you'd probably knock out 20 in the first hour or so. And then you'd come down to these 5 and say, well, I like A and I like B. But C is, you could figure it out, give it enough time and patience. You could pick the one you like the best in terms of this thought experiment, right? Accuracy, on the other hand, well, if you're an accuracy hound, and you kind of have a feel for what accurate speakers sound like, you could get far on that journey. But I doubt you would pick the most accurate one because it's too much of an abstraction. Human ears don't hear the way microphones do. So picking accuracy is a tough call. Putting aside audio for just a second, let's talk about another kind of accuracy. Let's say you're comparing a frozen pizza, a high quality frozen pizza, against a fresh out of the oven pizzeria pizza in New York or Chicago or wherever, right? Now, the ingredients would be pretty much the same: flour, water, tomatoes, mozzarella cheese. But the taste, even though they measure the same, and this thought experiment wouldn't be close. If you've ever had really good fresh pizzeria, it's a different level than frozen pizzas could ever dream of being, right? Same ingredients, mouthfeel, different everything for the real deal. One is a facsimile, one has the guts, right? It's the thing, it's a math. So, getting measurements, if measurements is the primary goal, accuracy / measurements, well, here's the way I see it. The downside to picking accuracy over euphonic is that the recordings you listen to, assuming you do listen to music over this thing as opposed to just measure it all the time, if you're listening to music, depending on the genre, etc., most of the music you like isn't accurate, and a lot of the music you like has significant, obvious flaws like distortion or wow and flutter if it's an analog recording, or there are problems in recordings. It's not just present day recordings. In the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, they all were far from perfect. The ones that you like, I assume and I'm hoping, were musically enjoyable and you can listen past those things. But the best sounding recordings, let's say audiophile label recordings, they may not be your best choice for musical pleasure, depending again on the label, but the ones that are the highest ranking in terms of really capturing the sound of musicians playing together in a room or a space or a concert hall. Those are far and few. The majority of the music you like isn't going to sound that great. And hearing it over the most accurate system, which is going to tell you the ultimate or close to ultimate truth about that recording, I don't know, for musical pleasure, I would be going to the other side of the street and going for euphonic, which is pretty much what I do in my personal system, right? I lean towards making as many of my favorite recordings sound good, and to hell with accuracy. I'm not chasing accuracy. I think accuracy, it doesn't make sense for me. Now, we each have our own choices here. I'm not saying my way is the correct way. I'm just saying this is why I've chosen this way. And if you are chasing accuracy because you want to hear everything that's in the recording, you're taking the right track. Go as accurate or precise or high res, whatever you want to call it, as you possibly can. I respect that. I absolutely do. And I'm not being snarky. I really mean it. You go your way, I'll go my way, and we'll each enjoy music in our own way. That's cool, right? You know, but I could take a fork in this road and talk about analog versus digital, let's say LPs versus digital formats, right? The LP has obvious problems. I've talked about this before. It has speed variations. If you play a 1K test tone on an LP, it ain't going to sit there flat, just like a rock on 1K. It's going to be wavering around a little bit because very few records have the hole exactly in the center. Very few records are really 100% flat. And that's the best. I mean, most records are less so, and they're going to have speed variations. You play them on a turntable, there'll be signal to noise, there'll be noise clicks and pops, there'll be intergroove distortion, not a flat frequency response from any cartridge I know of. There's very obvious flaws with playing records that the CD, even the standard resolution CD, completely obliterates it, stomps all over the best records in terms of flat frequency response, lower noise, no speed issues. Everything is better about CDs, except that I tend to prefer the sound of vinyl. Because vinyl, let's go with it's euphonic. It puts the flesh and blood into the music. Or releases it, whether it's putting it in or releasing it, well, that's another discussion. But you just get, for me, I get more of that musicians playing together in a room feeling from a great recording, even an average recording played on a really good turntable versus playing a CD of the same exact music. Again, these are personal choices. To give an example of that, I would say the benchmark solid state AHB2 solid state amplifier. It's gotten rave reviews. It's nice, it's compact, doesn't cost a fortune by high-end standards. That amp, let's say, versus at the other extreme, because it's super clean, it's got all the right, checks all the right boxes in that side. And then at the other side, there is the Macintosh MC275. I've reviewed it ways back, but and I've heard it in many different systems over the years. It's a warm, euphonic, juicy sounding amplifier. I picked those two because I think they're often their extreme corners, right? I would prefer something in the middle. I would not be going to the 275. But again, it's a personal taste issue. But you know, for speakers, could I come up with ones for speakers? Well, not really, because speakers have more issues to contend with than amplifiers do. But I would say, excepting for dynamic range, that electrostatic speakers, like quads, are more accurate and they can pass a square wave. I think the quad ESL 63 was famous for being able to pass a square wave, which is a tough feat for any speaker, but it could. I lived with it for 8 years, but I was tired of I grew tired of its restrictions and dynamic range, and I just wanted something that was more fun. And I went through a series of speakers after that. One of them was a Gallo reference speaker, a lot of different things, JM Lab, Mini Utopias. I've lived with many speakers. And right now, my favorites are the Klipsch Forte 3s, which do the opposite of quads. They're extremely dynamic. They're not as accurate as quads, but they're lovable speakers to me, to my ears, to my taste. So I'm looking for feedback from you guys. Where do you land on this euphonic versus accurate spectrum, or accurate versus euphonic spectrum? Where do you stand? Where do you land? Put it in the comments section below. My name's Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. If you like it, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. By the way, you can get other stuff from me on my Twitter, so check that out at AudiophiliacMan. And what else can I tell you? Share these videos, like them, and I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. And always, thank you for watching.